from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Westfield, Mass, 6:04 a.m. It is Thursday, February 8th, 2018. 19 degrees outside your door, getting up to only about 29 today. So not all that warm, but still going to be a better day than yesterday. Although the flip side of yesterday is the cleanup. So actually, I stopped down at the office, I don't know, about 40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
5:25.
A little crunchy.
Oh my God, the blocks of snow and ice on the sidewalk. I tried moving it. It's brutal. So for those of you that have sidewalks, do your best to get out there and clean them, but it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to melt anytime today. However, melting is in the forecast. Tomorrow, Friday the 9th, warm up to about 32 degrees. Saturday the 10th, 48 degrees. So, but no sun really on Saturday.
Showers.
It's going to be overcast. That's on Sunday. The showers come in Saturday night, and on Sunday morning Sunday it's going to be 40 and rainy. And then looking into next week, we don't get down into the 30s again until next Friday the 16th. So after today and tomorrow, it'll be 40 degrees or warmer through next Thursday. So
I'll take that.
That should help out with some of the melting, and hopefully it melts slow, not a rapid melt. Then we run into flooding issues. So, but let's see. That's what's going on with your forecast. It is 6:05 a.m. We're not at the press room this morning.
Right.
We are live at Westfield High School. Oh, before I forget.
I threw you for a loop.
That's all right. That's all right. A couple of things. There is a 2-hour delayed start to all schools in our area. Southwick, Tolland, Granville Regional, Gateway Regional, and Westfield schools.
Westfield State as well. 2-hour delay.
Thank you, Peter. And normally, when there is no school, like yesterday, the Westfield Senior Center is closed.
Correct.
Today, there's a 2-hour delayed opening for the schools.
So that means they open at 11.
Opening at 11, exactly.
Right. See, I remember what Tina tells me every time she beats it into my head.
See, I wish I could. That's why she still texts me to remind me.
I hear it enough. I hear it every Wednesday morning. Now a reminder to all my seniors,
exactly.
Don't come at 8:30 because I won't.
Nobody will be there.
Right.
Nobody will be there. So it's 6:06 in the morning. We are live from Westfield High School Gymnasium this morning. It is nice and quiet today. I thought for sure we would be having students set up their science.
Hustle and bustle.
They're setting up their science projects, but we'll be long gone by the time they start hustling, bustling in here.
Yeah, because they would normally start school at 7, so 9 o'clock.
Yeah. So
Superintendent will still be here at 8 o'clock for his show, but I think people will start setting up early.
No Rob and Joe today?
No, 2 hours of superintendent spotlight.
Ah, very nice, very nice. Stefan's getting a feeling.
They may show up as well. They may show up as well because they have entrance here as well. So Westfield Technical Academy has some entrance in this as well.
Right. So, but without further ado, last week I inadvertently misidentified my guest this morning as Tony Award winner. Have you ever won a Tony?
I have not won a Tony.
Have you tried?
Tony has never won a Tony.
No. So, but Tony Dunne is my guest this morning. He has been the Emmy nominated producer for multiple things, but you're currently known as a producer at WGBY over in Springfield, but you do a ton of other things besides that. But before we get into all that stuff, give us a little bit of background about you, where you're from, where'd you grow up, how did you get to be an Emmy-nominated producer?
Well, thanks, Patrick, for having me, and thank you, Pete, and always a pleasure to be here. I got started, I grew up in central Massachusetts. I actually grew up in Sturbridge, Mass, and, excuse me.
We won't hold that against you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And so growing up, I loved movies. I love television like any child of the 80s, and
The hell is that?
I would think that's the air conditioner.
Oh.
It's probably the heat coming on.
Or the heat. Yeah, I'm sorry, not the air conditioner.
It's coming over the microphone in my ear. I feel like I'm on a jet.
Sure.
It's that big vent right over there. That's what it is.
Funny. That's funny.
So yeah, I grew up loving film and television and making movies with my dad's little movie camera in
One of
the
those
backyard.
high-8 type things? Or is that what
Actually,
they
this
called
was
it?
film. This is Super 8.
Super 8.
Super 8, and then VHS when I got a little bit older, and with little Star Wars action figures or something like that. It was a lot of fun. And as I got older, I thought I'll make this my career because I loved it so much and was so passionate about it. And so I studied film and television at Emerson College and the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, and actually landed an internship at WGBY many years ago. I believe it'll be 18 years ago this summer.
Wow, good for you.
And interned there, and then went off and did a stint in commercial news, and then did independent productions as well. And then found my way back to freelancing for WGBY. And when they took on the production of A Schools Match Wits, they needed a producer to do so.
Well, that's going back probably 10, 12 years ago,
It is.
right?
It's like, yeah, exactly. And so they contracted me, because they knew me and they knew my work, they contracted me to produce the first 10 episodes of that series and then opened up a job around it. I applied for said job, and here I am 10 years later. This February is my 10th anniversary with WGBY.
So are you still doing A Schools Match Wits?
I am. I am the producer of A Schools Match Wits, and I am the executive producer of our now soon-to-be nightly magazine show, Connecting Point.
Which we're going to get into shortly. So is Beth Ward still hosting or emceeing? What do you call that? Host?
Host. Yeah.
Quiz show host, man. That's a lost art form.
Beth, yeah, it is. It is for certain. Beth Ward is our host. Beth and I were colleagues when we both worked together at Western Mass News. She has returned to Western Mass News, as everyone knows, and continues to work there now. But they let her go for an occasional weekend, so she continues to host A Schools Match Wits.
So now, did you and Pete work together at Channel 40?
I don't think we ever crossed paths.
We did cross paths. We crossed paths very briefly during a election night when I believe you were brought back in as like a freelancer.
When all heck broke loose,
yeah. It
was that the 2000 Bush Gore thing?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, we were all over the place for that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was all up and down Main Street, as I recall.
And that was before my time, because I started at Channel 40 in 03.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, very cool. Very cool. So you're at GBY, Connecting Point. What was the idea behind going 5 days a week? Because historically, for many years it was 2 days a week, right?
3. Well, yes, 2 days a week, and then the state we're in on Fridays.
Right, the state we're in.
Absolutely.
So why make it a 5 day a week show?
Well, I think to have a greater impact, you can only cover so much territory in essentially 2 days a week, because Friday is politics. So to have a greater impact, to be able to follow stories over a longer course of time, and we are investing in Connecting Point. We are expanding Connecting Point to cover more of the region, more of the diverse communities that make up the region.
So what will we see on the new show that maybe we didn't get to see on the old show?
Well, for one thing is we're going to start off each show with a little sort of news headline, mini newscast review of what has gone on regionally throughout
Pioneer Valley or
Pioneer Valley, Berkshire County, Franklin County, Hampden and Hampshire counties, and kind of an overview of what's going on, a brief overview of what's going on each day in those regions. And then we are we are recommitting ourselves to quality local journalism. I mean, that is kind of the key, the core of what we are doing. We're still going to do the feature-y stories that we're known for. We're still going to do some of the local history pieces that we're known for as well. But we are going to dive deep into the issues and concerns of the communities and the folks who live in our region.
So, in Jim Madigan has retired.
He has.
So who is this new mystery host that launches, what is it, next Monday? When is it, Monday the 19th?
Monday the 19th.
So a week and a half away.
At 7 p.m. We have a new time.
Oh, okay,
Traditionally,
good.
it's been 7:30.
Right.
We start Monday, February 19th at 7 p.m.
For a half hour or an hour?
For a half hour.
Okay, so every night,
Every
Monday
night.
through Friday, 7 p.m., Channel 57 over the air, 857 on your Comcast. I don't know what it is on the DirecTV
Right.
or whatever. So anyway, so who is this new host?
I like to paraphrase the Who and say, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Carrie Saldo, our original host
Wow,
of
she's
Connecting
back.
Point, is back,
Good.
and I couldn't be more thrilled to have her back. Carrie is an immensely talented and accomplished journalist who has cut her teeth in both print, radio, and in television as well, and is a bit of a triple threat. And so she will be the host of Connecting Point Monday through Friday.
Excellent. So, what makes this any different than me tuning in at 5 or 6 p.m. to the other local newscasts?
Well, I'm trying to think of how we're deep dive.
Okay.
Basically, that's it. Basically, we take more time, and we're
So more
not
like a 60 Minutes type,
yes,
where
that-
you're going to look at a story,
right.
and you're going to dive into it more than just, hey, here's the headline, here's 2 blurbs, 30 seconds, done, next.
Right.
Well,
weather
and
traffic.
stories that wouldn't get covered by the commercial news media because they don't have the time.
They don't have
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's. I've worked in. Everyone
yeah,
sitting here has worked
absolutely.
in commercial news. I have dear friends who are currently still in commercial news, lifelong friends. I love commercial news, but commercial news is a different animal altogether.
Okay.
Commercial news is bullet points. We're more of an essay.
Gotcha.
And commercial news keeps you up to date with. Commercial news tells you this happened. We tell you why this happened. We tell you the hows and the whys. And hopefully, ideally, we also give you or help to inform you about the steps that can be taken to move forward so you can learn and change and grow. I think those are the kinds of stories our audience really looks for.
Now, is the other program, The State We're In, still remain, or does that go away?
The State We're In remains on Friday. Carrie will host that as well.
Wow. She's going to be busy.
She's a
Hey,
very...
you too, because you're doing it all.
Yeah, and his school Smashwitz.
Yeah, true.
So yes, we are very, very busy. We've been gearing up. We have a new set. We have a new look. And we have some new folks we brought on.
Are you still going to have your contributors from before? Because I know Cara Lee.
We have Cara Lee McGrath returning. We have some new producers in Alejandro Cameron who will be joining us and is doing some wonderful stories already, which I can't wait to share with you and our viewers. And Veronica Garcia, who is currently the host of our show Presencia, she will be contributing to Connecting Point as well. So it's one big happy family that I hope will bring lots of diverse and different voices to the show.
So obviously, when you guys are planning this type of change to a program, you have to take a step back and look at, okay, is there enough content to fill? Mm-hmm. 5 days a week, half hour every day, every week of the year. So you obviously have found that there's enough content and enough storylines out there within the Western Mass 4 counties to do that, right?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Another thing that sets us apart, you would ask what makes us different, is our commercial counterparts here in Springfield generally tend to cover Springfield. They'll cover a little national, they'll cover a little state, but state being Boston.
Right.
Unless something serious happens, generally they don't go west. And that's for many reasons.
They don't have the staff anymore.
They don't.
Remember when we were there, at nighttime for the 11 o'clock newscast, you'd have 2 or 3 photographers. You'd have 2 reporters and 2 anchors. Now you're lucky if you have 2 photographers and 2 anchors
Right.
and a producer. That's it. They don't have the staff anymore.
They don't have the staff, and also, to be honest, like the Berkshires, where I happen to actually live now, it lies between two media markets. You've got Albany and you've got Springfield. So, and you've got mountains. So there's sort of this natural divide.
Sure.
So
it's Berkshire County is an underserved county.
It is.
From a media standpoint.
It is, as are the hill towns here in Western Mass, as is Franklin County in large part. So that's where we come in. So we can be regional.
It's interesting. You talk about the stories that the major news outlets in Springfield will follow, and I've seen it here in Westfield since I took over the Westfield News 7 years ago. Unless it's major news, and it can be Westfield, Wilbraham, Northampton, any of the surrounding towns outside Springfield, unless it's major news, they're really not covering the news. I hate to say it, which is fortunate for me because that's how I survive. And then you've got, the Reminder publications, the Turley publications. We all have a sort of niche, the West Springfield Reminder and so forth, the Holyoke Transcript. All those other little newspapers around, we all survive based on the community news. And so it's nice that the bigger guys don't do that. So with the expansion and the growth of Connecting Point, you guys have found that niche where you do that, as you call it, the deep dive. Right. More than just the headline, 30 seconds later, boom, boom, and off you're done. So what is on Monday night the 19th? And can you promo any stories today for us?
Because we are a topical, timely show, I don't want to commit to anything on that day per se, but I can tell you what's going to go on that week in some part. We are working on stories on displaced folks from Hurricane Maria.
There's a lot in Westfield.
There's a lot in Westfield. There's a lot in Springfield. A lot in Holyoke, and it's impacting the communities.
Absolutely.
And the civic and community efforts to help these folks who have been displaced is incredible. And so we will be doing. Actually, we're going to go out in the field. Carolee McGrath, who you mentioned earlier, will be out in the field sort of looking at that story. And then we're going to take what she finds and we're going to bring that home to the studio and have a discussion about what can be done to sort of help these folks.
That would be a good topic, for Stefan, because the immigrants from Puerto Rico, because of the hurricane, has played a major impact on Westfield schools. It's people don't think about it.
No, they don't.
Then all of a sudden have to absorb all the cost of that.
Exactly.
That is where
it's a quick boom of people.
That is where I think the main concerns. I say there's several concerns, but that's one of the biggest is the impact on schools and how to deal with this influx and make sure everybody still receives a quality education and helps these folks.
It's frightening. That's a good storyline for that week. It is 6:19 in the morning. You're listening to the Westfield News radio show. We're normally on remote at the press room, but now we're on remote from the remote up at the Westfield High School gymnasium, where Westfield High School and Westfield Technical Academy will be doing their science fair today. All the tables are set up. No students here yet, and no displays set up yet.
All their spots are assigned, and that's about it.
I'm going to have to go track down where my number 2 child is going to be set up, because I'm going to maybe leave a little love note for her on the table.
There you go.
6:20 in the morning, you listen to the Westfield News radio show. Tony Dunne is my guest. We're going to take a break, thank some of our underwriters. We'll be right back.
Community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore at Westfield State University, right here in the Ely Campus Center. Whether you're a student, faculty member, or friend of the university, it's the place to shop. Everything from Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise to all of your academic needs. Offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Visit the bookstore on campus or online at www.westfieldstate.bncollege.com. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its third generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Plasek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly.
Underwriting for community broadcasting on WSKB is provided by the Press Room, a community coffee and snack cafe right in the heart of Westfield's Gaslight District. The news of the day always includes a steaming cup of coffee or tea, donuts, bagels, pastry, and other delectable treats at the Press Room. Open weekdays 7 to 5, Saturdays and Sundays 7 to noon. The Press Room, 62 School Street, Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Live around the world.
You're listening to the Westfield News Radio Show on WSKB 89.5 FM, Westfield.
Here's your host, the owner of the Westfield News Group, Patrick Barry.
Good morning again, everybody. 6:26 a.m., Thursday, February 8th, 2018.
Brain freeze?
All of a sudden, yeah. I'm like, is it the 8th or is it the 9th? No, it is the 8th. Taking a quick check of the headlines that you'll read both in print later today and up online at thewestfieldnews.com. As always, it's sports season, so even though yesterday was a snow day, there were no high school sports, doesn't mean Chris Putz doesn't slow down. So locally, this is an interesting headline. I haven't even opened the story yet, but it says, Board denies special permit for church lot. I like that headline because it's intriguing. Now I got to read it. I haven't edited that one yet. Some students here at Westfield High School gave gifts to prompt the Renaissance program here. There was a tractor-trailer truck accident up in Granville. Girl Scout troops are welcoming new girls. Find out if you have a young lady in your family that wants to be a Girl Scout. And then down in Southwick, we have a couple of firefighters that have finished some training, which will enable them to be play a more active role in the local volunteer fire department down in Southwick. Back here live at Westfield High School, it is 6:27 a.m. Tony Dunne is my guest this morning. We were talking about a whole bunch of video. I guess that's the all-encompassing word, right? Video. It's not TV because there's stuff online and so forth.
Content is the word.
Content.
Content.
So,
is the
and
word.
I use that all the time in my business too. It's content. It's just that's what it is. So, Connecting Point going to be 5 days a week, 7 p.m. every night. Is there a role available there for a meteorologist wannabe that maybe might want to
stop?
No weather, no sports. Well, occasionally, maybe the Super Bowl or something
big,
like that.
Or Casey Bellamy or something like that. Something big, tie-in.
I said this earlier. I envision this in my first week of watching. I envision it sort of like a local abbreviated 60 Minutes, that you see on CBS, where you take a story and you dive into it. You get more into the nuts and bolts of it versus just the headlines of it.
Right.
Is that an apt?
I love that comparison, and I can only hope that we come close to that. I mean, 60 Minutes is the
It's
benchmark.
a great program. Yeah.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Yes, that is essentially my goal. That is essentially my vision for the show, is to have it be sort of a way to explore ideas, explore concerns, explore issues. The issues that matter most to Western New England in a forum that is traditionally centered around 30-second sound bites and quick headlines. And so, yes, to dive deep like a 60 Minutes and get
now,
into
you
these
guys
things.
are going to get outside of Springfield, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Please tell me. Okay, good.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. No, we...
And that's part of my problem with some of the local news. And I understand the economics of the major TV news outlets in the area is you kind of got to focus where the population is. But there's so much more going on outside of the Springfield city limits that I'm hoping Connecting Point will explore.
We are a regional show. I mean, that's how I, as executive producer, see the show, envision the show. We are a regional show, not a Springfield show. Good. Not a Pioneer Valley show. Okay. I live in Berkshire County, as does Carrie Saldo, our host. I have a producer one who lives right in the city of Springfield, another one who lives out in this neck of the woods. We come from all sorts of different areas. We have folks from Franklin County on our staff.
That's excellent.
It is.
Because you've got a wide range of awareness of what's happening in those local communities, so you'll be able to, toss around, story ideas.
Yes, and we all have contacts within our communities that, sort of feed us ideas and feed us stories, and they come from everywhere. Story ideas come from everywhere. But personally, or in terms of our staff, we are geographically, ethnically, and gender diverse, and I think that just is going to make a much better product for our viewers in the end.
Historically, the program had been set up where it was, in studio. You actually interviewed me last year, which was fun. I always enjoy it.
Good.
Getting
we'll
the word
have
out
you
there.
back. Absolutely.
And I think that was your first. Was it your first time hosting?
That was my first time hosting.
And you did phenomenal.
Well,
you
thank you.
Do more of that in front of the camera stuff.
Thank you. At my supervisor, our deputy general manager, Lynn Page, for some reasons unknown to myself, seems to think that I have the ability. I've always been a behind the scenes, behind the camera kind of guy. That's where I'm most comfortable. She would like to see me do more on air.
I would
things.
echo that.
Well,
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. We'll see. I'm sure I will eventually, once this gets up and running, dip my toes in the water a little more.
So let's switch gears off of Connecting Point and talk about your time behind the camera. You're also involved in some other content productions, and we were talking off air about witches, and you have a series of programs called. What's the series called?
The series is called New England Legends.
New England Legends.
Yes.
And where does one find this?
You can find New England Legends locally on WGBY. I believe it airs on our World channel quite regularly, and occasionally on our main channel, primarily when we have a new episode. But it is also available on Vermont Public Television. It's also available on Rhode Island Public Television, and now to the world and internationally on Amazon Prime. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch New England Legends anywhere pretty much in the world.
So what is it? What is New England? I mean, it sounds intriguing.
New England Legends explores the myths, legends, ghost stories, monsters of the region, with the idea being that there is probably an element of truth to pretty much any legend when you scratch beneath the surface.
So it's that kind of legend, not necessarily like a James Naismith who's a legend.
No.
So it's more of like a story.
Right. You guys are telling the rest of the story, really.
Well, yeah, I'd like to think that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah. We.
Who was that? Not Charles Kroll.
That was.
No.
Oh,
And that's the
my
rest.
Goodness. Yes.
And
that's the rest of the story.
Right. We'll come back.
It'll come to us. Yeah.
And we explore. Again, it's kind of like Connecting Point, and maybe it's the public media guy in me, that we want to find the stories, behind the headlines.
Right.
There's a salacious tale about a haunted mansion in North Adams, and the reality is that a tragedy took place there over 100 years ago, and several people died under tragic circumstances, and we're still talking about it to this day. And the ghost story maybe reminds us of history. Ghost stories are and legends and myths are a wonderful way to share history with people who might find facts boring. They're an entertaining way to introduce people to history. And they're also a way to look at who we are as a people and society.
Well, I have to imagine those types of stories, again, more than 100 years ago, a tragedy happens in a house, and then as the generations pass, kids will overhear something, and then usually kids tend to embellish things, you know, and,
Right.
and
Any human tends to embellish things.
well, I mean, kids more so.
By the
than
way,
others. How dare you?
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey.
Thank you.
Way
Thank
to go,
you.
Pete. But yeah, you know, kids tend to embellish things. So, have you found when you do these productions that the current version of the story is so far away from the truth?
It is.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. And to be honest, anytime you tell a story, even myself included, even as from a journalistic standpoint, a story, as far as New England Legends, I'm not talking journalism per se. Anytime you tell a story, anytime you dig into it, my partner and the host of the show, Jeff Belanger, likes to say that you become part of the story.
Oh, yeah.
And you change it. You change it even if you don't realize it. We did a story about October Mountain out in the Berkshires.
Yep.
It's a wonderful DCR property, beautiful place to go hiking, and I think it's the largest state park. I think it's 16,000 acres, the largest state park, if I remember
Neil Young
correctly.
wrote a story about it.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Wonderful.
I think so. Yeah, I'm almost positive. Anyway,
Sorry.
October Mountain.
Herman Melville wrote about it. It inspired Moby Dick, or I'm sorry, Mount Greylock. But he had a view of Mount Greylock, and he had a view of October Mountain, and he referenced it in one of his poems. Anyways, for some reason, it's got all these legends attached to it. Bigfoot has been cited. There are newspaper articles from the Berkshire Eagle where people have cited Bigfoot as recently as I think 1989 or 1993. There are UFO tales, and there was a story of a little girl who haunts the mountaintop. Well, it turns out, as we were investigating these legends, there is a cemetery hidden in the woods, a very tiny little cemetery on
the
the
top of the
mountaintop,
mountain?
at the top of the
Really?
mountain, and we found that grave, and of a little girl, and her name was Anna Pease, and we aired this episode of New England Legends.
That's the one that I saw. It's awesome.
Well, thank you very much. Here's the kicker. So we get an email months later.
You're not going to do the spoiler alert, are you? You're not going to give away the ending.
I'm not
Okay.
giving away the ending. This was so we get an email, like months later from one of Anna's descendants, and he really was one of Anna's descendants from Palmer, Massachusetts, and he wanted to go and see the grave and pay his respects. He was able to trace his lineage. They arrived on the Mayflower. One group went south, the other one went north and ended up in the Berkshires. And so he was able to directly trace it. And we actually covered him for a segment we did on Connecting Point as he went back with his family to pay tribute to this little girl. So this little girl who died over 120 years, say, on this mountaintop, was forgotten for over 100 years.
Wow.
Was brought back to life. Her
Yeah.
memory, and I recently saw a recounting of that tale, this ghostly legend, in something completely unrelated to New England Legends, and they mentioned Anna Pease. They would not have done that were it not for New England Legends, the show.
Right. That's where it
added to the
Exactly.
it examined and it found out that whether you believe in a little girl ghost or not.
Right.
There was a little girl who lived there and died there on that mountaintop.
Now, there are so many intriguing questions that come out of that story. But why they lived on the mountaintop? Or
They
is
did.
that where the cemetery is? That's
they
kind of a
did.
weird
So-
location.
Right. So, as much as we like to explore these things, we are limited in New England Legends with the amount of time we have, and we go deep dive on New England Legends, much like Connecting Point. There were glass making. There was forestry related to powering kilns.
Yeah.
In, I believe, the Lee area, if memory serves me correctly, and if not, I apologize. But there were some farmers, and there were folks who were involved in forestry to supply timber to fire kilns in nearby towns. So there was this little sort of community up on the
Right.
mountain that existed for, I don't know, 30, 40 years, and then sort of it grew, and then it died.
Right.
And New England is filled with little lost towns like that.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's a great point of a show like that. It inspires
Right.
more questions.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Yeah.
I know Gene Thoreau from American Legion Post here in Westfield has done, his family, I believe, goes back to the towns that are no longer in existence because of the Quabbin.
Yes.
So he's done a lot of
There's a ton of them.
research.
There's like
and-
7 of them.
Dana, Greenwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Enfield. I think
Yep,
it's another
Enfield's the biggest one, yeah.
Enfield and Greenwich, I think, are somewhere where it is. But anyway, it is 6:38 in the morning. You're listening to the Westfield News Radio Show. We're live up at the Westfield High School Gymnasium, getting ready for a science fair here in Westfield Public High Schools. Starts today. The kids, unfortunately, have a 2-hour delayed start in school today here in Westfield, as well as Southwick, Tolland, Granville, and Gateway Regional Schools. So all the schools in the Westfield regional area have a 2-hour delay.
At least they turned on the lights for us.
At least they turned on the lights for us. Exactly. We'd be sitting here in the dark. And that would be a heck of a storyline for Tony.
Sure.
But also, I just wanted to point out the senior center here in Westfield down on Noble opens up at 11 a.m. this morning, so they won't be open at 9. They'll follow a 2-hour delay as they do with the schools. So it is 6:39. We're going to take a little break. Thank some of our sponsors. We'll be right back.
B is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. Visit on the web at baystatedental.com.
Support for community programming on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. Visit bettsplumbing.com or 14 Coleman Avenue, Westfield. Public welcome.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Wally Computer Associates, one of the largest technology providers in North America. Headquartered in Southwick, Wally provides all of the products and services that you'd expect from a world-class technology partner to schools, colleges, businesses, as well as state and local governments and agencies. Wally Computer Associates, meeting all of your technology needs. On the web at WCA.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
It's Tuesday morning from 6 till 8. Wow, it's Tuesday with Bob Plass.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Live around the world.
You're listening to the Westfield News Radio Show on WSKB 89.5 FM Westfield.
Here's your host, the owner of the Westfield News Group, Patrick Barry.
Good morning again, everybody. It is 6:46 a.m. Friday, February 8th, 2018. It is currently 18 degrees outside your door, only getting up to 29 today, but it should be some good sunshine. We're at that time of the year, fortunately, where the sun is starting to get warmer and warmer, even though today's only going to be 29. Be careful driving out there this morning. It is
careful walking out there this morning.
Be careful getting out of bed. It is very slick out there. All the schools in our area, Westfield, Southwick, Tolland, Granville, Gateway, everybody's got a 2-hour delay today. Hopefully the sun will come up, warm up some of the roads, melt, at least loosen up some of the ice out there. The crews were working overnight last night to get salt and stuff down. So just be very careful out there. 2-hour delay means the senior center doesn't open till 11 o'clock today, so just don't show up at 9, seniors. Actually, you shouldn't be out driving at 9 o'clock anyway. Stay home, have another cup of coffee. The temperature today, like I said, getting up to 29 degrees. Tomorrow, Friday the 9th, is slightly warmer at 32 degrees. And then after tomorrow, the temperature doesn't get below 40 for at least a week. So next Friday, the 16th, is the next forecasted day in the 30s.
This has been the blessing of our winter, We'll get a snow event, and then it'll warm up. We'll get a snow event, then it'll warm up.
As long as it's not 21 below zero again, like it was the beginning of January.
First thing off,
Oh, that was awful. So Saturday, 48 degrees and cloudy. Sunday, 40 degrees, and the rain comes in. Rain comes in Saturday night, and it looks like it's going to be kind of rainy and gross all day Sunday. And Monday, sun again, 41, and that's what the rest of the next week looks like. And like I said, no 30-degree temperatures until the end of next week. So we're not doing half bad there. 6:47. Oh, actually, hold on. Let's scroll down. Tropical cyclone Sabeel is still out there churning in the southern Indian Ocean, 10,474 miles from Westfield.
It's going further away now.
West-northwest at 9 miles per hour, so it is moving slightly away. It's a tropical cyclone. Last week, it was a Category 1, I believe.
Right.
So settle down on the bread and the milk. You don't need to really go for it yet. You might have a couple of days on that one.
This is why I don't let Patrick do the weather.
I make it interesting,
Yeah, sure.
So it is 6:48 in the morning. You're listening to the Westfield News Radio Show. We are live back here at the gymnasium of Westfield High School, where it is very quiet this morning. Normally there would be some hustle and bustle going on right now, but 2-hour delay.
Yeah, students will be arriving right around now.
Yep. Tony Dunne, Emmy-nominated producer, is my guest this morning. Tony is here to talk about WGBY's long-standing program called Connecting Point, which, as well as a ton of other video content we're going to talk about. But Connecting Point launches a week from Monday on February 19th, 5 nights a week, from 7 to 7:30 p.m., 5 nights a week, shifting, because it used to be at 7:30 a couple nights a week. Now it's every night, 7 p.m. The state we're in, which is sort of the other locally produced, I guess. There's many locally produced, but that's the other sort of newsy, locally
political.
produced. Yep.
All politics.
When does that one air?
That one. So the state we're in has actually been back. The state we're in currently airs since mid-January, every Friday at 7:30.
Okay.
Along with Connecting Point, because it does fall under the Connecting Point brand. It will air beginning the week of February 19th, whatever that Friday is. I don't know off the top of my head.
23rd.
There you go.
Trust me, I know it's the 23rd.
Math was never my strong suit and still isn't. That Friday it will air at 7 p.m. and that will be its new permanent time slot.
Okay, so Connecting Point will be Monday through Thursday, and then the state we're in, which is a Connecting Point program,
state we're in,
will be Fridays.
Yes, we like to say it's Connecting Point's weekly look at politics.
There we go. Okay. So I got
So Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Starting the 19th.
So, we talked a little bit about Connecting Point earlier, and the state we're in, you just mentioned, is sort of your political show.
It is.
What sort of topics? I mean, what do you invite in? Senators, state representatives, mayors, councilors? What do you do on the state we're in?
Yes, I mean basically to sum it up.
Yes. Next question.
Please move on.
Exactly.
So, what's the worst thing you can do as an interviewer is have a monosyllabic guest? Yeah.
We've been there.
No.
Oh,
we all have.
We won't mention names.
No. So the state we're in, for years, that was, you mentioned Jim Madigan, Westfield resident, Jim Madigan, who has been a dear friend and mentor to me.
A wonderful man.
Jim is a wonderful guy. Cannot say enough good about Jim Madigan, and the premier voice of politics in Western New England. Jim was the dean of political journalism here.
And his sort of understudy was sort of Ray Herschel,
Yes. Ray, and Ray's a dear friend as well. I had the privilege and the honor of working with Ray for years. Ray is the dean of Western Mass journalism, and Jim is the dean of political coverage, without a doubt. So Carrie's got some big shoes to fill,
Absolutely.
and she knows it. And
but she's got to make it her own too.
She does.
While Jim is a legend, she's got to make the shows her own. You don't try and copy Jim.
No,
you can't.
It's not possible.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. And Carrie does have her own voice and her own energy, and you can already see that if you tune in on Fridays, leading up to our new broadcast, because it's done on the old set currently and at the old time. But the state we're in is again the weekly dive at politics. We're doing some different things. We're incorporating. Carrie via social media asks our audiences directly. We've been doing a county look ahead, county by county, 2018 look ahead. So we did Berkshire County, we did Franklin County last week. We're doing Hampden County this week, Hampshire County the following week, and we have taken to social media to ask our viewers, what do you want to know? And we've been using those questions. We've been out in the field getting actual clips. You guys are familiar with the term MOS, but for those,
it's a heck of a lot easier going on social media than doing man on the street, because you get people who are actually active and want to participate instead of just trying to find somebody.
Well, it's both.
Well, you get the cranks too. I understand that, but
social media is awful.
Social media is a blessing and a curse. It's both that. But we're actually, you speak to what we are doing. We get in a car with a videographer and drive out to downtown Greenfield and stand out there with a microphone and ask. And to Pete's point, a lot of our commercial counterparts just don't have the bandwidth to do that or the time.
Right. Yeah.
And so we go directly into the communities. We take the show on the road, Connecting Point proper, we take on the road. Several times a year, we do shows on location in the communities, because I think that's the best way you get to know a community is by actually doing it there.
Yep.
But back to the state we're in. So we are incorporating social media. We are incorporating more video elements. We are probably going to eventually move away from one big half-hour conversation with somebody and split that up a little bit. There'll be times where we will do that. If we have the governor in, we got a lot to talk about.
He deserves a half an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, Congressman Neal or Senator Warren or whomever. But there are other
or
times.
Any of those other empty suits, right, Pete?
Well,
Sorry. Had to get that in there.
No, whatever, but, so they can address sort of, all the, because, we could talk about Pioneer Valley concerns. With
they cover everybody. I mean, they do cover all of your service areas, so they deserve more time.
So exactly. But we're still having local reps in. We're still having we'll have city councilors in. We're going to sort of broaden the sphere.
Talking state politics for a second, you bring up Governor Baker and some of the larger state governing officials. Is there a plan to host a what do they call that? A gubernatorial debate?
Yeah, I believe so.
Here in Western Mass? Yeah.
Very, very nothing official by any stretch of the imagination. But we recently talked with the head of the Western Mass. I believe it's Media Coalition is what it was called. That or consortium. I take it back. I apologize. Consortium. That was brought together around the last big political debate season, and so I'm sure there will be one. And we
got a good crew at Westfield State.
We hope to we hope to be at the forefront of that at WGBY. Traditionally, Jim has hosted those, so it'd be wonderful to have Carrie host those.
Yeah, this past Saturday here in Westfield was the Lincoln Day breakfast, and it's the Republican, the city committee for the Westfield City Committee for Republicans, and they had a number of Republican gubernatorial candidates here, which was interesting, except for Charlie Baker. He was unavailable.
Right.
But it's interesting. I want to say there's 3, 4, or 5 other Republican candidates out there.
It's a wide open race because there's a whole bunch of Democrats running too.
I was just going to ask that question. I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of folks running this year, so there'll be ample opportunity to have debates and to have wide-ranging debates, and so I have no doubt that there will be.
And again, I think it's incumbent upon us in the media to present these forums so that people can make an informed decision. I mean, that was one of the things I launched when I took over the Westfield News was candidate forums every election year. And they're so valuable for the residents to see and hear what these candidates have to say. And the thing
you did it for the first time for even people who are unopposed.
Right.
You did an unopposed night. Nobody's ever done that before.
Yeah, just to hear what they have to say. And those candidates were amazing. But the thing on a local level, which I don't think you necessarily get on a state level as much as, but on the local level, when you ask these guys a question, I sit there and I chuckle at the answers because the answer isn't the answer to the question. It's a talking point for what they want to say. That's a lovely question, but I'm going to tell you what I want you to hear. Huh? Whatever. But it's excellent that the state we're in will continue and continue to be a wonderful source for information about state politics and state legislation. I mean, it's because, as you said earlier, the commercial stations can only give you a quick little tidbit, and God love Ray Herschel, but he doesn't have the time or resources to dig into a story and spend 20 minutes in a 6 o'clock newscast. He just can't allow that.
No, there's nothing like it on commercial television, and so the beauty, I think, it's a wonderful Western New England is a wonderful place to be in the media business in the sense that we all have our own sort of roles, and there's really
everybody gets along.
Everybody gets along.
I know,
everybody knows each other. They really do.
It's a small community.
It's a very small community, and I don't personally feel a sense of competition. What I do is different from what the commercial news does. Is different from what you do with the Westfield News Group. I mean, it's all. There's a place for everybody and a certain niche, and I think with all of us combined, we actually have a really robust
media environment.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, there's so much information available to the resident in Western Mass now. I think more so than ever.
Right.
Just because of the way the news media has changed.
Even what we're doing right here, sitting right here.
We're sitting right here in an empty gymnasium, the three of us.
Long format talk show. Doesn't happen anywhere. In this state, I don't think really anywhere.
And it's funny.
Boston.com maybe? Maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
That might be the only competition for this.
But it's funny. I mean, Pete, you and I have been doing this show together for almost 4 years. June will be 4 years, by the way. And during that time, every guest that I get on here that's new, and Dr. Lakritz was one last week.
Correct.
They go, what the heck are we going to talk about for 2 hours? But inevitably, at the end, it's, oh my God, that was awesome. I can't believe it went by so fast.
Yeah, it flew by.
Because you end up, there's no structure. I don't create a script per se that you have to follow, other than, oh my God, it's 6:59 in the morning. We need to take a break to thank some of our underwriters. And you're listening to the Westfield News Radio Show. We're live from Westfield High School. How's that for segue, Pete?
There you go. Hello.
We'll be right back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
It's Tuesday morning from 6 till 8. Wow, it's Tuesday with Bob Plass.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
(2018), 18 degrees outside, getting up to 29. At this point in the show, 1 week ago today, Pete, I said to you, and I repeat, you ready for the big game, Pete? Are you ready for the big game? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Did you notice we picked up on your Groundhog Day?
Yes, I did notice that. But
because Jay's
he thought it was a wonderful idea.
He did think it was a wonderful idea.
So, Pete, I got to tell you, the game last Sunday was unbelievable.
It was.
I was yelling at the TV.
Yep.
And for Liverpool to go ahead in extra time, or no, not in extra time, Liverpool went ahead 2-1 in like the 88th minute.
Yep.
It was awesome. And then in extra time, Tottenham scores. I'm like, are you kidding me? It was a penalty kick. It was a foul in the box. It was a penalty kick. I was yelling at the TV. I could not believe it was an awesome game.
Tony just gave you a sideways look. You know that, right?
No, I missed that. I missed that.
Football.
Yes.
Yes.
It was that was, and I prefaced it last Thursday, Pete. I said this is the game of the week.
You said it was a critical game.
It was huge. They both teams came out with a point each. I was hoping Liverpool would get the 3 and kind of leapfrog and do some moving around in the standings. But
and the other big game was a heck of a show too.
I know Manchester United won. I mean, they got their 3 points out of it. It's like that was kind of expected, but
the American football
was
a great game
last
too.
Sunday night was another interesting one. I said it all last week. The Eagles were going to win. I'm not.
Yeah,
I think you said that. Yeah. The Eagles were going to win. It's not Tom Brady's time. But you know what hit me Sunday night?
That was one heck of a game. It really was.
You know what hit me? Chris Collinsworth made some passing comment, and it triggered something for me. And I go, you know how Tom Brady's going to go out?
How?
18-0.
18-0.
He's going to. The Patriots will go undefeated from
that's where he walks
September
away?
through the Super Bowl. Exactly. That's it. Because they almost did it a few years ago. Giants beat him in the Super Bowl.
Right.
But that's Tom Brady's walking away point.
I would say you can't get any better than that.
Exactly. And the only other team to do that was the 1973 Dolphins or something like that.
Which a Cathedral graduate was on.
Who was that?
Nick Bonacani.
Oh, that's right. Yep, I forgot about that. So I think that's Tom Brady's walking away point.
Yeah, I would
totally
go on top, man.
See, but here's the thing.
You would be the man officially.
I would, right. I mean, he is, whether you're a New England fan or not, I mean, it is amazing how talented the guy is. But the thing we must always remember, and you didn't comment on the link I forwarded you about how Major League Sports are a business. It's,
duh.
It's, everybody, people argue about this.
It's entertainment more than competition.
Exactly. It's got nothing.
I don't think they're fixed per se.
But here's the thing: the NFL has made more money under.
No, say it's not true.
What?
Wrestling?
Superfly Snuka passed away last year. Anyway, and that's not fixed. The NFL has made more money under Roger Goodell than at any other point in time because he understands the marketing of it.
Right.
And then
no matter how much of a pain you hate the man, he's making him money. He's not going away.
Well, the link I shared with you shows you how much all the teams get in revenue sharing so it's mind-boggling. So
that's why there's no competition for owners in smaller markets to bring big players in because they still get their money.
Exactly.
If they were fighting for their lives, they'd sign big players, and there'd be more competition in the league. And people complain about the Patriots. They just figured out how to do it within their means.
Well, again, and I think the NFL has seen a great marketing tool in the Patriots because the Patriots, it's a short thing. It's 10 years or so.
Well,
Tom Brady will retire.
They're
and
the
then
heel.
They'll be on to something else.
The Patriots are the heel.
Right. And here's the thing.
Every good organization needs a heel.
Who do you next year's Super Bowl? I'm calling it now. Niners Patriots. Garoppolo versus Brady.
That would be huge.
See, I'm calling it
a great storyline.
All this hatred for Tom Brady and the Patriots, and I had this conversation with several people this week. When I was a little kid, man, I lived through Ray Berry and Tony Eason and Steve Grogan and the '86.
It's awful.
My goodness, I'm sorry. While the Dolphins fans and the Cowboys fans strutted like
America's
peacocks.
Team.
Blah blah blah. Exactly. And now all the hatred this way. Please.
Well,
please.
It's funny. There was a little kid.
Everybody needs a heel. I'm telling you.
We suffered for years.
Cowboys used to be the heel. Now they stink. Cowboys used to be the heel, and now they stink.
There was a little boy who comes into the press room coffee shop every weekend with his dad and a couple of his sisters, and he was raving about the Patriots. And his dad's our age, and I go, you don't understand what we went through. For decades, it was the Celtics. That was the only New England team that could win.
Yeah.
That could win anything.
Wow.
And now we're spoiled. In the last 15 years, New England sports fans are spoiled.
They are.
The Celtics have won. The Patriots. Every team has won except, unfortunately, the Revolution.
Yeah, but they're new. They're the new kids on the block.
They haven't paid their dues yet.
Exactly.
Another 20, 30 years.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They have to be long-suffering fandom before they can win something. It's just the New England way.
I don't know. I'm a hockey fan. The Las Vegas Golden Knights are playing unbelievable hockey this year, and it's their first year.
Well, they got the cherry pick.
Well, yeah, they got the pick.
They got the cherry pick from everybody's.
I know they were exactly, which is great for them. But it's one of those things where it's not necessarily the long-standing 30-year pain.
Right? No, I get
it. Original six matchup last night. Bruins took out the Rangers. Took out the Rangers 6-1 last night.
I remember Jim Plunkett being the quarterback for the Patriots.
Oh God,
the Patriots. Jim Plunkett for the Patriots.
I didn't know that.
First period.
First bell, 7:08.
I had flashbacks to high school.
We all just did.
So it's 7:08 in the morning. We're live here at Westfield High School in the gymnasium. We were here to welcome all the students and their science projects today. However, there's a 2-hour delay at schools across our area today. Westfield Schools, 2-hour delay. Southwick, Tolland, Granville, as well as Gateway Regional Schools all have a 2-hour delay. So the Westfield High School students will not be here for another hour and a half at least. But Stefan Zaporowski for a superintendent spotlight is coming up at 8 o'clock. So that's what's following us. He's doing a 2-hour show today. There is no In the Flow with Rob and Joe today, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Former As Schools Match Wits coach, incidentally.
Stefan?
Yep.
Really?
Ask him about it. Yep.
Really?
Yes.
Really? For Chicopee Comp, it had to have been, 'cause that's where he
no,
taught, right?
I believe, if memory serves me, and forgive me if it fails, but if memory serves, it was for Smith Academy.
He did teach there for a while, yeah.
That's right. I
And
forgot he was up there.
actually brought Smith Academy too. He contacted me and was a big fan of the show and brought him back. And he was a coach.
Interesting.
Great guy.
So
Great guy.
a little bit of information as far as the Westfield News Radio Show goes for the next 2 months, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
So next week will be my personal last show for quite some time. I have to have shoulder surgery. I'm going to be out of work.
We're putting you on the bench.
I am
You're going
out of
into
work for
injured
about
reserve.
6 weeks, unfortunately. But good news is Mark Auerbach, Artsbeat columnist, is going to be stepping in for me. He has been emailing me about show guests that he's already lined up. I'm like, Jesus.
He's got a stable out there.
Yeah, he's got a great group of people coming on. Like, yeah, man. So next week will be my last show. We'll be live at the press room.
Correct.
And then after that, Mr. Auerbach will be taking over the microphone until I'm well enough to be back on the air, which is probably not till April.
Yeah.
So for the month of March, I'm much to my wife's hatred, I got to get a little dinner bell, like ding-a-ling-ling, bring me some pills, ding-a-ling-ling, bring me some water. You know, she's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and the worst part is she works out of the house, so that's going to be the two of us in the house all the
She'll
time.
hire a VNA just to have somebody come by, just to deal with you.
She'll hire hospice to put me out of my misery. Anyway, it is 7:10 in the morning. It's Thursday, February 8th. Like I said, we're live here at Westfield High School. Tony Dunne, Emmy-nominated producer who lives amongst us, is my guest this morning. What were you nominated for? What product or program or product, I guess, were you nominated for?
I have been nominated for, and always a bridesmaid, never a bride, unfortunately. But it truly is, and I'm blushing just talking about this because it is truly an honor to be nominated, and I have been nominated, I think, 6 times overall. I've been nominated for a show we did.
You're like the generals
like
playing the
Susan Lucci. Yeah.
You're like the generals playing the Globetrotters.
Yeah, exactly. So for a show we used to do on WGBY called Making It Here, I've been nominated several times.
That was great.
It was a great show. For Schools Match Wits, we've been nominated several times, and New England Legends has been nominated twice for a New England Emmy.
So, New England Legends, half-hour show?
Half-hour show.
And you dig into legendary stories throughout the 6 New England states.
Yep, and we go from Maine to Hartford, and
well, it's interesting because the next episode, I believe, is about witches, right?
Yes.
So, and I was just reading an article, I want to say over this past weekend, about some misconceptions about various and sundry stories, and one of them was about witches, and it was no witch had ever been burned at the stake.
No, that's a misnomer.
And again, we're all taught, you go out to Salem, Mass, and learn about witches being burned at the stake.
Right.
And that never happened, huh?
No. And if you don't have Amazon Prime, if you get Amazon Prime, or if you already have Amazon Prime, you can go and download and watch the episode at any time, and I encourage all of you to do so, to find out the truth, some of the truths, that is, behind the tales of witchcraft.
Is it available now?
It is available as of yesterday, I believe.
Okay, good.
As of yesterday, Witchcraft, and you can watch the entire first season of New England Legends on Amazon Prime as well, in addition to the latest episode, Witchcraft. And yes, they were hanged for witchcraft, and you do say hanged, you do not say hung. They were hanged for witchcraft, and unfortunately and tragically, some were actually pressed to death, and a horrific.
That's creepy.
Way to die. Yeah,
I don't know which is worse, being pressed to death or burned at the stake.
The story of Giles.
I would say pressed to death.
Yeah,
both awful.
The story of Giles Corey is an awful, truly awful one. We actually don't go into that in this episode of New England Legends because it is you folks don't know, but it is generally a well-known tale. The Salem witches. We go and find the stories behind the Salem witch stories. We do some Salem, but that's the stuff that everybody knows.
Right.
New England Legends is ideally, if Jeff Belanger and I, our host and writer, Jeff Belanger and I, do our jobs correctly, we find the stories that you haven't heard about and a little known in your own backyard.
So now I'm intrigued.
And this wasn't like something that GBY cooked up with at management. This is something the labor of love for you. This is something you cooked up, really.
This is my own. Yes, and
so this isn't a GBY production?
No, not at all. To be clear, thank you. Yes, this is something I do in my in my off time.
In your spare time.
Between midnight and 4 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. It is a labor of love. We've been doing it for, I think this is our 6th year. I love my work at GBY, and it keeps me very busy, but I also have other interests. And so this is something I cooked up with my friend and colleague, Jeff Belanger, who he wrote the book, literally wrote the book, Weird Massachusetts. If you see it, you see it everywhere. Huh. Jeff is an accomplished author and lecturer, and pretty much the expert on New England supernatural, paranormal, and all things legendary.
So in your travels, I got to ask you, do you believe in ghosts?
Everybody asks me that. I'm not quite sure what I believe in. I can tell you that I have been in pretty much every notable haunted location in New England. I can say that. And in all of that time, and in all of those places, hundreds, thousands of miles, I can tell you that only once has anything ever happened to me that I can't quite explain.
Really? Where were you?
I was in North Adams, Massachusetts. I kind of alluded to this earlier. There's a mansion there and Masonic temple, which recently has been sold, but for years it was a Masonic temple, and it's known as the Houghton Mansion. It was the former home of the city's first mayor, A.C. Houghton. He was on a ride in the countryside with his daughter and his best friend / chauffeur and some family friends. The best friend / chauffeur accidentally hit a soft embankment and rolled the car. His daughter died tragically. Some of the family friends passed away, and he died 11 days later of a quote-unquote broken heart. The chauffeur unfortunately took his life in a horse barn on the property because he felt guilty for what had happened. And ever since then, people have said that the place is haunted.
There are teams of Agawam Paranormal's been up there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Sure. So we went in there to do a story and to tell this tale and to sort of examine what was going on. And while we were there, we met a Mason. He unlocked the door. We came in. There was no heat on. This was actually in springtime, if I remember correctly. And we were setting up, and we broke for lunch. And as we were sitting there very quietly, the 5 of us all in the same room were chewing on our Subway sandwiches. We all heard what sounded very distinctly like a door slamming and then footsteps. It could have been the house creaking. It could have been it, but I've never heard anything like that.
Well, since we've been sitting here, we've heard a few crazy noises.
We have.
Some ghost just walked by. That's interesting.
That's the only thing. I've been in the Lizzie Borden house. I've been everywhere, and that's the only thing that has ever made the metaphorical hair on my head stand on end.
See, I've seen one in Munson Memorial Hall.
Really?
In Munson, Mass.
That's another place that people tell tales.
I was working there in public access, and I was setting up for a council meeting. I was the only one in the building. I knew I was the only one in the building. And I found out afterwards, I saw somebody sitting up in the balcony, dressed in about 1930s dress, just sitting there. And I thought, well, maybe they got something going up in the Daughters of the American Revolution room upstairs. Mm-hmm. Back and forth, I waved, went about my business, set up the room, walked back, look over my shoulder, still sitting there. Walked back a second time to bring more stuff upstairs, still sitting there. And I talked to Grace Makepeace, who was a town historian at the time, also the secretary of the selectmen. And she said, yep, that's so-and-so, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head. She died in the Daughters of the American Revolution room upstairs.
To me, the most important thing about these stories is it's not necessarily,
second bell.
Sorry, I just woke up from social studies class. It's not necessarily whether you believe in ghosts or not, because I'm not quite sure what I believe in, and I've never seen or really experienced anything to make me feel one way or the other.
Right.
But what's important is that we're still talking about this.
Exactly.
There are certain stories. The one I always go to is there's a little missing girl out from my original neck of the woods, Wachusett Mountain in central Mass. Lucy Keys, colonial era. Little girl went missing. her ghost supposedly haunts the mountain. Her mother can be heard crying. Her mother's ghost haunts the mountain. People still talk about that to this day. And unfortunately,
a couple hundred years later.
Yes, several hundred years later. An unfortunate reality of the world we live in is that children do go missing every day.
Right.
But why are we talking about this one story? What is it about it that resonated?
Yeah, why does it keep being retold?
Exactly. And some stories just fall by the wayside. That's what New England Legends is about to me. That's what's interesting.
Here's the curious thing is, in 50 or 100 years from now, I don't mean this in a bad way, but let's take from that same area, Molly Bish. Unfortunately, Molly Bish, a tragic story there.
Yes.
But are people 100 years from now going to be talking about that? Or do we have so much available information to debunk stories?
That's a very good
that
question.
These old stories from 100, 200 years ago are going to live on,
You're
yet
right.
the modern ones today are just, nothing's going to happen.
That's a very good question. What is modern day folklore, and why is it that? It could very well be. There are modern legends. There's again one that comes to mind is Spidergate Cemetery, which is again out in Central Mass in the Leicester area, and it's one we haven't looked at New England Legends just yet. Maybe someday, but it's supposed to be haunted. There are black robe figures that walk through, and the reality is all of these legends around it are true. The black robe figures are actually from a fraternity at nearby Worcester Polytechnical Institute that go to pay tribute to their leader in some weird fraternity thing, and the police have had to chase them out. There were unfortunately a couple people who took their lives, but they were on the other side of town, and it somehow got attached.
Right.
So all of these tales sort of coalesce around this one area. I think there's definitely. And these are all relatively recent, since the 70s. I think there's still a hunger and there's still a fascination with the unknown where these things get attached to. But why certain stories do become
and others not? Who knows?
Yeah.
Interesting. It is 7:21 in the morning. You're listening to the Westfield News Radio Show. As you can tell by the noise behind me, we are not at the press room. We're up at the Westfield High School gymnasium today, where students are prepping for Science Fair Day. Schools have been delayed 2 hours today, so in a little more than an hour or so, about 8:30, 8:45, the students will start filtering in, get their presentations set up and so forth. Stefan Zaporowski for Superintendent's Corner comes up at 8 o'clock. We're going to take a break right now, thank some of our underwriters, and we'll be back with more discussion with Tony Dunne. Be right back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore at Westfield State University, right here in the Ely Campus Center. Whether you're a student, faculty member, or friend of the university, it's the place to shop. Everything from Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise to all of your academic needs. Offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Visit the bookstore on campus or online at www.westfieldstate.bncollege.com. Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. Visit on the web at baystatedental.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Wednesday mornings start off right from 6 to 8 a.m. with Tina Gorman and Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Am I live?
Live around the world.
You're listening to the Westfield News Radio Show on WSKB 89.5 FM Westfield.
Here's your host, the owner of the Westfield News Group, Patrick Berry.
Thanks, Pete.
I forgot to introduce you.
Thanks,
Introducing
Pete.
you.
Thanks. Thank God I didn't use a word that management would frown upon. I hate to use that four-letter word. Snow. We got that yesterday. 18 degrees right now, and as I mentioned, snow. Yesterday started out nice little fluffy white snow, and then turned miserable, and now it all froze. I stopped down at the office about 5:20 this morning to try and tackle some of the sidewalk. Oh, that was like trying to move boulders. It was brutal. It was brutal. So
lots and lots of ice melt.
Be careful out there, folks. Schools are delayed 2 hours. Every school in our area, Westfield, Southwick, Tolland, Granville, Gateway, all of our schools are delayed 2 hours. Start this morning. The senior center doesn't open until 11 o'clock. So just be careful. Treacherous walking out there. Just be very careful. Today's high is only 29, but the sun will be up, and it should be fairly nice sun-wise. Tomorrow a little bit warmer, 32 degrees. Saturday warming up even more to 48 degrees, and then the rain comes in Saturday night, and Sunday will be 40 degrees and rainy all day. So it'll be interesting to see how much of this snow disappears on Sunday.
And melts.
Yeah, which would be
floods.
Kind of up and down. Right, that's the hard part, is hopefully that we don't see any flooding. And then after tomorrow, from this Saturday through next week, temperatures are all in the 40s, so we kind of got a little bit of a break here in mid-February. Next Wednesday's Valentine's Day. Go figure. Look at that. Unbelievable. It's already the middle of the month. We're live back here at Westfield High School at 7:28 in the morning. Tony Dunne is my guest this morning. He is a producer for a number of things. We've been talking about Connecting Point on WGBY, which is launching, reinventing itself, really, starting Monday, February 19th, going to 5 nights a week at 7 p.m. Friday night version will be the political show, the state we're in, but it's under the Connecting Point umbrella.
It is.
And Carrie
Saldo.
Carrie Saldo is going to be the host, taking over for the retired Jim Madigan. Big shoes to fill there, but I'm confident Carrie, with her experience, will create her own style and so forth. And it's going to be a wonderful series of shows.
Hey, Patrick, sounds like a good guest for the Westfield News Show. Carrie?
I offered that to today, but I guess the message never got back to her.
Oh,
so,
no.
yeah.
My
Jeffrey
apologies.
Old Mixon.
Oh,
because he and I were talking back and forth, and he goes, "Hey, let me know when you've got some openings on the radio show. I'd love to get the guys from Connecting Point on." And I go, "Tony's coming on next week, and if Carrie wants to join." So,
No,
but
we
that
can
would've been
arrange
good.
that. We can arrange
that. Could have been
by
good. We'll
all
work on that for maybe late spring after I'm back from my stuff. But
Okay.
one of the things you do, Tony, which I guess sort of flies under the radar if you're not a parent or a student involved in it, and that's As Schools Match Wits.
Yes.
This is a program that's been around. It's got to be
Does still hold the
40
record
years?
for the longest
No.
longest running game show in the U.S.?
No. Unfortunately, another show holds that title by only a handful of weeks. Literally,
Really?
like 3 weeks. A show called It's Academic out of Washington, D.C., if I remember correctly, is the Guinness Book World record holder for the world's longest running quiz show. But As Schools Match Wits has been on the air, uninterrupted, in Western Massachusetts, Western New England, for 57 years.
57
This is our 57th season.
And was Mr. Shepard the first host?
Was it Shepherdson? Yes, Phil Shepherdson was the
right.
original
Because he was a
host.
Westfield guy.
He was a Westfield guy. Phil Shepherdson, legendary, still mentioned in reverential tones to this day. Phil
Yep.
Shepherdson.
And what was his daughter's name? We used to work with at Channel 40.
I think
That was
it's
his niece.
Catherine.
Catherine Shepherdson.
I thought it was his
Yes.
daughter.
No, niece.
Oh, all right.
Niece.
Yep.
Yeah, because when I started at Channel 40, she was an anchor, more an AM news,
Yep.
AM anchor.
Yep.
She was wonderful.
Wonderful anchor
Yep.
and reporter.
Yep.
I worked with her in my time there at Channel 40 as
So,
well. Yeah, she's great.
So As Schools Match Wits, 57 years. It's gone through some changes. It
has.
was. Give us a little bit of history. Has it? It hasn't always been on public television, though.
No, it hasn't.
So-
It was created by a Westfield State a person, Leonard J. Collmore, and
State rep, as I recall, Lenny Collmore.
Lenny Collmore?
I believe so, yeah.
If that's the case, that
no
may
idea.
be the case.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely certain, but he was an academic, and so he created the show in the 60s on WWLP, Channel 22, that carried the show for many, many, many years. And then, unfortunate reality for many commercial television stations is that these shows are expensive and they cost a lot of money, and it's sometimes not profitable to do so. And commercial television is driven by profit. It has to
Right.
be.
It has to
They
be.
have a lot of news enterprises and things cost an incredible amount of money. So they unfortunately had to let it go. I believe it was 2006, and thankfully, due to two people who I think deserve the most credit for the show. For keeping the show alive. One would be my former general manager at WGBY, Russ Piotr.
Wonderful man, yeah.
Wonderful guy who has since retired. We have an amazing new general manager, incidentally, Anthony V. Hayes, who I'm sure the community will get to know very soon. He's making his way around, and he's a wonderful successor to Russ, and will be taking WGBY, I think, into its next stage of existence. It's in secure hands. But back to His Schools Match Wits. So Russ Piotr kind of stepped up, and but the person who is responsible for keeping As Schools Match Wits on the air is Dr. Elizabeth Preston, former chair of the Department of Communication and interim president at Westfield State University. She and Mark St. Jean, the director of television operations at Westfield State University, resurrected the show, kept it alive, and were the forces that have kept it on the air since. I mean, they really picked up the torch and carried it.
Right. So historically, the show was taped over at WWLP, Channel 22.
Yeah, it was at Proven Mountain.
Yep, exactly. Yep. And then when WGBY picked it up, it moved to Westfield State University. Correct.
Right. Correct.
So every show is taped here in Westfield.
Every show is taped in Westfield. I like to say that As Schools Match Wits celebrates learning both in front of and behind the camera, because the entire crew, barring a few of us, me as the producer and our director, Eric Jones, who is a Westfield State alum. He's now incredibly successful director and studio manager in New York City. He manages a studio in Manhattan for DirecTV, and yet he comes back to direct this show.
Interesting.
Eric is incredibly talented, and we appreciate how much he brings.
I'd love to get
back
him on the show.
We can arrange
Yeah,
that. Eric is the man.
We could tape something on a weekend up at up at the college.
when he's
Have
here,
you,
right,
sure.
yeah.
The entire crew is students. It's comprised of students in the Department of Communication, the camera operators, the computer graphics operators.
Is Alex Saminsky still involved?
Alex Saminsky. Oh, Alex is, yeah.
Okay.
Alex,
Now he's on staff.
Alex is,
Okay.
Alex is another
I
former
haven't seen
intern
Alex
of
in a
mine.
while, so I wasn't sure whether he was still there.
And
Yeah.
you keep Anthony Swenson busy. It keeps him out of trouble.
He does. He does. Alex is a associate producer and editor of the show. Aside from Alex, myself, Eric, and Mark, it is entirely crewed and staffed by students.
That's fantastic.
And so they have real world broadcast television training and experience when they leave college, which is something I would have killed for.
Yeah.
I would have killed for when I was in school and trying to break into the business.
You know, it's interesting, and we've had this conversation before on this radio show, and it's taken place more and more in Westfield, that allowing Westfield, Southwick, and Hilltown high school students the ability to have hands-on experience getting out of high school, let alone college, is such a priority now, more so than it has ever been, because you've got to be ahead of the curve when you're going out into the working world. You can't just show up, and when you and I were going, and Pete were fighting for those first jobs, it was, I just need my foot in the door.
Right.
And you were battling with 1,000 other kids for that foot in the door to just start your experience. So when you're leaving high school or when you're leaving college, if you've been working on producing or whatever for an actual broadcast television show, then you're already light years ahead. And I do that with my interns for the Westfield News. I've got one now, Taylor Chiquette from Westfield State. She's writing articles for me. And she's creating her portfolio. So when she graduates in May, she's going to be ahead of all the other kids, because she's going to plop down in front of an HR person or somebody she's interviewing going, here's what I've done.
Exactly.
Not, I want my foot in the door. So these kids working with the schools match wits get the same thing. Here's my tape.
They do. And media, television certainly, and media in general, is a very difficult it's a very difficult field to break into, because you need experience to get a job, but you can't get a job without experience. It's catch-22.
It's awful.
I'm trying to tell a guy, Mike Drew, that just came out of Westfield State last year, and then he went to Syracuse. He's trying to get a job now, and the problem with ESPN laying off all the people, he says it's 3 times as hard to get a job.
Of course
absolutely.
it is, yeah. So anything to get a leg up is wonderful. And so to be able to leave college and say, I worked on a broadcast TV show and I have experience, running a camera for a broadcast television production is
and I have to
immeasurable.
Imagine, I don't know this world. You and Pete know this world better than I do. The technology that the kids are learning on, is it the same systems and everything that they could walk into a commercial TV station? Or
what they have up at Westfield State is a fully functional broadcast television, broadcast level
so it might
television
be a different
equipment.
program, like
might be
Microsoft
some of
versus
them.
Apple. It might be a little bit different, but it's the same technology, same concept.
Technology, and same thing. And it's certainly, it was state of the art when it was installed, and it's not that it's not that far behind at the moment.
Right. So that's fantastic. Good for these kids.
Alex has been reaching out to me. They're looking for an upgrade. They're looking to start getting ready to gear up to upgrade the place.
So let me ask you this, Pete. The radio station up at Westfield State, are there kids that you're more intimate with this than I am? Are kids graduating from the radio program?
Unfortunately, there's no radio class.
Oh, really?
At Westfield State in the communications department, radio's kind of always been a club.
It's a club, right? But
So it's kind of them teaching themselves, and anybody that's willing to learn is come in and stop me and pick my brain a little bit. But there's no radio class. I'd love to see a radio class, like a 1-credit class or something, to teach some radio.
Right.
And even now, more so that's a lost art. I mean, you got Brett Provo in Springfield on 43 stations during his shift.
Right.
43 stations during his shift.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's crazy.
Yeah, very good. It is 7:38 in the morning. You listen to the Westfield News Radio Show. Tony Dunne is my guest this morning. We're live up at Westfield High School. Faculty is starting to filter in. Sun is starting to filter in through the windows. It's going to be a good day. It's Science Fair Day here at the gymnasium at Westfield High School. Schools all have a 2-hour delayed start this morning due to the slippery road conditions. The Westfield Senior Center doesn't open until 11 o'clock this morning. So if you're out and about, just be careful. Take it a little bit slower than you might normally, just to be safe. Make your family happy that you make it home tonight. 7:30.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its third generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Plasek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly.
Support for community programming on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. Visit bettsplumbing.com or 14 Coleman Avenue, Westfield. Public welcome. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardina family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
It's Tuesday morning from 6 till 8. Wow, it's Tuesday with Bob Plass.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Live around the world.
You're listening to the Westfield News Radio Show on WSKB 89.5 FM Westfield.
Here's your host, the owner of the Westfield News Group, Patrick Barry.
Good morning again, everybody. 7:44 a.m., Thursday, February 8th, 2018. It's 18 degrees outside, getting up to 29 today. And Pete, you know what I just noticed on this old weather app?
What's that?
It's because it's GPS
Yeah.
works, right? So it says I'm in Trainfield section of Westfield.
Yes, this is traditionally called Trainfield.
Trainfield. I've never...
Because Westfield was a train hub at one time, and the area down around Pachasik was a huge train yard.
Yeah, but this was... Yeah, we're
It's
somewhat
called-
near Pachasik, but
It's called Trainfield, the whole area.
we're up on the hill. Anyway. So anyway,
I'm just
live
telling you
from
the
Trainfield.
the history.
All right. Getting up to 29 degrees today and sunny. The sun is already it's already up. I can see it coming through the windows here at the Westfield High School, which is where we are live today. Tomorrow, Friday the 9th, 32 degrees and partly cloudy or partly sunny. Not sure which, kind of hard to tell from my weather app here, but 32 degrees nonetheless. As we head into the weekend, the temperature jumps up to 48 degrees on Saturday. Rain comes in Saturday night, Sunday 40 degrees and rainy all day. And then once that dissipates, the rest of next week looks to be partly sunny and in the 40s until Thursday, and then another front comes through. And then next Friday, the temperature drops back to the 30s. So after tomorrow, we're in the 40s for about a week or so not too shabby. It is 7:46. As I mentioned, we're live here up at Westfield High School. Stefan Zaporowski with the Superintendent Spotlight is coming up next.
He's on the other side of the gym.
He's on the other side of the gym. There he
Yeah.
is, yes. And he's doing a 2-hour block today. And the reason we're at Westfield High School today is because it is Science Fair Day here in Westfield Public Schools.
Did you ever find your daughter's spot, by the way?
Have I gotten up from this chair since
I was.
2 hours ago?
I was chiding you, that's all.
I know. I will have to take a walk and see where
Before you depart, yeah.
Yeah, see where she's set up. So maybe leave her a little note. But anyway, schools are 2-hour delayed today in Westfield, Southwick, Tolland, Granville, Gateway. Westfield Senior Center doesn't open until 11, so that's what's going on outside your door right now. Live back here at the gymnasium, Tony Dunne, wonderful video content producer who lives in our midst, is my guest this morning. Tony works for WGBY. And has been producing Schools Match Wits, Connecting Point, the state we're in. Also does some side work in his free time called New England Legends, which can be seen if you have Amazon Prime.
Yes.
You can check those programs out. They're up on. You can stream the video from Amazon Prime.
Yes, the entire first season, including our brand new episode, Witchcraft, that was just released yesterday. And you can always go to ournewenglandlegends.com for plenty of content, including a weekly podcast and video content, exclusive video content to that website. You can also find out more about how to get either your own copy of the show or get it on Amazon.
Very cool. So you really don't have much downtime, do you?
What's downtime?
that between midnight and 4 a.m., right? That's what we were laughing about earlier.
Television producers are busy, hardy folk, not like, newspaper publishers
we just sit around.
who sleep in.
Exactly,
and
I sleep until 5:30 every morning.
No, you guys work hard. We have it easy.
But here's the funny thing, though, is I joke about your time, in your lack of free time, rather. But when you do what you love, like I consider myself in that category.
Yeah,
I
me
do
too.
what I love. Time is irrelevant. It doesn't matter to me if I'm sitting at home, like last night, watching the Bruins game. Editing stories, doing stuff, participating in local news. It doesn't matter to me. I enjoy what I do so much that time is irrelevant.
It's very true.
I know our superintendent hates what he does, so he curses every second of the time. I'm just kidding, Stefan. But so Tony, you've got Connecting Point, which is reinventing itself, right?
It is. Yep.
And go ahead.
Well, reinventing, I would say, and recommitting to quality, independent, local journalism.
And different from the commercial stations.
Yes.
We talked earlier, the commercial stations really do, here's the headline, here's 30 seconds, and unfortunately, it's got to be 28 years ago. A producer and a news director in Miami coined the phrase, if it bleeds, it leads. Right. And unfortunately, that's how local commercial news really now is. But Connecting Point's not like that. It's more of like the 60 Minutes style of reporting, diving a little bit deeper, right?
That's my hope. That is my hope and my goal. Yes, certainly diving deeper. Reporting facts is important. It's hugely important, and I don't want to dismiss that. But what's more important, or equally important, I should say, are the hows and the whys. Did we get to whatever point we're talking about with these issues and these concerns? And also the steps that can be taken, that you can explore moving forward. That's what Connecting Point is.
So in an upcoming Connecting Point episode, how many stories per 27 minutes or whatever it is?
It's going to depend on the day.
Okay.
But I would say an average would be, up about 4 stories, whereas, in your local newscast, you've got
40.
Exactly. And a lot of those are just quick, what we call readers, where, a newscaster is sort of delivering you just a couple sentences about a topic and some video. We will be, again, diving deep.
So now Carrie Saldo is the main host.
Carrie Saldo is the host.
Is she doing all the on-air work, or is she having any help?
No, thankfully, if she was doing all the on-air work, oh my goodness, she will have a lot of help from our wonderful correspondent who's been with us for several years now, Carolee McGrath, who many folks may know. We also have some other producers. Dave Fraser is a producer on staff who is done some of our wonderful documentaries. He most recently did one on skiing here in Western New England.
Which was awesome. I loved it.
Great.
What was it? I forget the title. It was like Hidden Ski.
It was Stories from the Slopes.
Stories from the Slopes.
Yep,
that's right.
Yeah, the history of skiing.
And there were a
Western
lot of
New England.
ski places here that I've forgotten about, and he just uncovered them. Great. Again, these are things you're going to find on GBY that you're not going to, diving deeper, looking into stories that, more than just, oh, hey, here's a Mount Tom closed. It was around for 40 years. Next.
Right. We're not going to tell you about the car accident. We're going to tell you that the car accident was a result of
infrastructure problems that are systemic from the budget, which,
and exist elsewhere. And then why is this happening, and what steps are being taken, and what steps could be taken. That's what we are.
Excellent. And Connecting Point will be Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m., and then State of the Union, which is a connecting, or State of the Union.
No.
The State We're In, which is a branded show under Connecting Point, will
Connecting
be
Point's
Friday
weekly
at
look at
7.
Yes.
Excellent. So now, the State We're In, who's the host of that?
Carrie Saldo.
Oh, she's going to be doing that as well. Good Lord.
Yes. Busy lady.
Like you, a lot of free time, right?
Yeah.
So that's excellent. So the State We're In will continue to be a more politically focused, but is it the Springfield City Council, or are you guys going to be looking at other things?
We're going to be looking at other things, and it's region-based. So we are looking at politics throughout the region rather than on, like, for example, what you do with the Westfield News Group is amazing, and you're very Westfield-centric and Hilltown-centric, and you focus on that community, and you provide, and you go beyond that community, but that's your
core.
wheelhouse,
yep.
right? and the Reminder publications kind of have their wheelhouse, and there's a few others. We're not that kind. We are going for a broader sort of. So you'll have state reps. We'll still have city councilors if the city of Springfield or the city of Holyoke, if there's an issue that has sort of a broader appeal, or something that sort of is a bigger issue than the everyday zoning board or whatnot. Right. But there's people who need to know about that stuff as well, and so that's why they'll go to like folks like you or to like iBerkshires or other localized regional stories to find those little things. But yes, we will be casting a wide net.
Very good. And so Connecting Point, it'll be Monday through Thursday at 7 to 7:30 p.m. The state we're in, Friday, 7 to 7:30 p.m.
Yes.
As Schools Match Wits, when does that run? What's the latest with that?
As Schools Match Wits,
is it over for the year?
No,
is it just starting for the year?
We are underway. We are currently in the middle of taping our season. We started broadcasting in December, and it's every Saturday at 7 p.m. All the way through the school year, all the way until June. So.
And Beth Ward hosts that. She's a Western Mass News co-anchor with Dave Madsen.
She is,
old friend of all three of us there.
Yes, longtime host now.
Now, how does as Schools Match Wits, do you tape every Saturday, or do you like spend a day taping, a month worth of episodes?
Yeah, we spend a day taping a month's worth of episodes up at Westfield State University, and so we do it in the fall and in the spring. And so by the time you see the championship, it has long since been taped.
Oh, that's funny. Educate me and some of our listeners. How does as Schools Match Wits work? So you have it's a quiz show. So you have two schools that are they're against each other, and the team that wins moves on to the next round. Is that how it works?
That's how it used to work. Okay. Ever since we've had this co-production with WGBY and Westfield State University, it's all about the points, is what we like to say. So generally speaking, up to 50 schools each year, public and private, parochial, doesn't matter, we take all comers, but up to 50 schools go head-to-head in up to 25 qualifying matches, drawn at random. So literally out of a hat. We pull one school, and then we pull the next, and that's a match. And in that order, that's how we develop the roster, to be fair to all. So we had these initial qualifying matches. Once they are over, we take the top 8 highest scoring teams of the season, and they go on to the playoffs and compete for the championship and the coveted Collimore Cup, which is named after Leonard J. Collimore, the creator of the show.
Very good. And how long has Schools Match Wits been on the air?
This is our 57th season.
Good God.
So 57, 58 years.
It's been on longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
Go figure. That's great.
Yeah.
And is it the longest running quiz show in America?
It is the second longest running quiz show in America, second by literally a handful, like 2 or 3 weeks.
Mr. Collimore, what were you doing?
I know. But hopefully we'll outlast them all. The wonderful thing, it is a joy to do as Schools Match Wits because it touches so many people, and to have now the grandchildren of folks who were on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Back in the day.
So what's the age limit? What are the ages? Is it?
We take. Oh, I'm sorry. We take. It's freshmen to seniors. It's high school.
Okay.
It's high school. Yeah.
So now, you may not be able to answer this question. I'm not sure. So in Southwick,
yes,
where it's from an athletic standpoint, 7th and 8th graders can play high school sports. Is it the same way for as Schools Match Wits, or is it only 9th through 12?
Generally speaking, it's only 9th through 12. Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. So our time is coming near to an end.
I thought you were going to bust the man behind you about being a coach.
Oh.
Former coach?
Former coach.
So, Superintendent of Schools, Stefan Zaporowski, is going to join us for the last couple of seconds because I learned through my interview here with Mr. Dunne that you, Mr. Zaporowski, are a former as Schools Match Wits coach?
I am.
And which school?
So, at Chicopee Comprehensive High School, I coached for, I want to say 6 or 7 years.
Really?
And then
I didn't know that.
I went to be a principal at Smith Academy in Hatfield for 1 year. Yeah. And they hadn't had a team in 20 years, so I started a team up. And we actually made it to the championship round.
Really?
And lost to Mount Greylock.
In your first year?
In our first year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So now, what's coaching a team like? I mean, what do you do? Just sit there and fire questions at them? Or?
We do. And we actually just do mock shows in the end and just practice that way.
I got a screw loose. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Don't we all?
Yeah, no kidding. And a lot of it is the kids that you get.
That's great.
Absolutely. And there are some kids who just know some wealth of information.
Right. They must be great at trivia nights.
Absolutely. they are. You want them on your team.
And the team from Smith Academy wins trivia night again. Hey, you're going to the Red Sox. Hey, Smith Academy wins again. You're going to for
and
dinner.
Westfield High School has a good team. They're competitive every year as well.
Really?
Absolutely.
And Tony, would you say 50 different high schools?
Up to 50.
Holy
Up to 50.
smokes.
I forget what we have this year. I think it's 46. It depends on the year. Some schools.
I didn't know there were that many high schools in our area.
Oh yeah. I always have a waiting list, and unfortunately, I need an even amount of teams to make a season roster. So I always tend to have teams on the waiting list. But depending on the year, we've had as many. I think we've even had as many as 52 one year. It becomes a bit unwieldy with our broadcast schedule, so we do have to pare back. But inevitably, sometimes coaches retire, and or schools have to pass on a year.
Right.
So we swap them in and out, but up to 50.
Interesting. Before we end, Stefan, what do you got going on today? What's your 2 hours filled with?
So, it was going to be all staff and students from 8 to 10, but now we have a 2-hour delay, so we're trying to scramble for the first hour. But we are going to be featuring some staff and students.
Every favor you need to get somebody to sit in the chair.
I already have. They should be trickling in any minute. But it's exciting because I think the work that the students do here with the projects is just phenomenal, and I don't think enough people know about it, honestly.
Good.
Students from here will go on to the regional finals, and we have had students make the national finals before. So this is quite an event here. And I know last year we had to cancel it, actually. We were supposed to do it last year, too.
Because of weather.
Because of weather.
Absolutely.
And, people ask, why don't you move the date of the science fair? Because of the dates of the regionals and the nationals. Actually, the projects the top projects from today have to be submitted by tomorrow in order to be entered into
So this
regional.
is the last possible day.
This is the last possible day.
Wow. Very good, very good. Well, my time here is done. I am back on the radio next Thursday morning. We're live back at the press room, I believe, next Thursday morning, right, Pete?
Correct.
So, Tony, thank you very, very much for giving me, getting up early, because I know you live out in North Adams area, so thanks for coming down here. I really do appreciate it.
So thank you for having me, and speedy recovery
Thank you
from
very
your
much.
surgery.
I will be, next Thursday, I'm on the show, on the radio, and then I'm off for 6 weeks or so. Mark Auerbach will be stepping in and covering for me, and he's got a whole list of great guests coming up, so I look forward to hearing his program. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for giving me 2 hours of your time. Please tune in starting Monday night, February 19th to WGBY at 7 p.m. and see the new Connecting Point. Jeez, I almost drew a blank there on the program name. Tune into the new Connecting Point, see Carrie, and it'll be 5 nights a week at 7 p.m. Jeez, I've been talking about it for 2 hours. I can't even get it out of my mouth. 5 nights a week at 7 p.m. on WGBY. Tony, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will see you on the air next Thursday.